Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Cool Wall. The rules for the Cool Wall are as they have always been, that does not matter how reliable the car is, does not matter how fast the car is, does not matter the build quality, the interior, nothing. Only thing that matters is what I think. Now for the first car today, a 1990 BMW E30 M3. Okay, before I talk about this BMW M3, I want to talk about the new M3. Because I don't like the new M3. Now, the reason why I don't like the new M3 is because of the way it looks. Okay, the M3 for a long time was a benchmark because it was a car that no other sedan could even come close to touching. It was just so good in every aspect. But now, every time I look at it, it makes me want to vomit. And honestly, it's not even that difficult to fix. I mean, they just have to put one bar down the middle. That's it, just one bar down the middle, it'd be fine, but no. To me, a benchmark has to be something that is universal, and I just don't see the new M3 as being universal. It just doesn't look right. As for this M3 though, this M3 is just beautiful. I mean, this came out in 1990, and ever since it came out, it's been used by teams for all kinds of motorsport. And it has won consistently. This car is so amazing. And this car is so good that till this day people are still driving this around Corsica for fun. And one day I want to drive this thing around Corsica for fun. So I think it's a cool car. The day I drive it in Corsica, it becomes a Grand Tour. The next car is the 57 Ferrari 250 Testarossa. Now, of course, this is less of a car and more of a piece of art. This thing sold for $16.4 million. You thought those hypercars were bad? Try this. But, now, it might just be me, but this design reminds me of the Mach 5 and the Mach 6 from Speed Racer. So, if this car did inspire Speed Racer, I think it's worth $16.4 million. But that's just my theory. But as it relates to the wall, I don't think it's a Top Gear because maybe it is worth it because it's a piece of art and it's really beautiful and it's a classic at this point. But at the same time, there's better ways to spend $16.4 million. The final car today will be the Aston Martin Vanquish Zagato. In short, this car was a complete flop for Aston Martin, I think, because no one cares about it. The reason no one cares about it is because this car just wasn't very well marketed. It wasn't very well PR. The reason I think this thing flopped is because I don't think Aston Martin geared it to younger people. And because it didn't gear it to young people, no one bought it and no one really marketed it. The Stradman doesn't have a Zagato. Manny Koshman doesn't have a Zagato. Royalty Exotic Cars doesn't have a Zagato. Hamilton Collection doesn't have a Zagato. No one has a Zagato. And the reason they need to market to those young people is because those young people's audience are the ones that are going to buy the merchandise for this car. Okay? Lamborghini gets a lot of exposure because of everyone that drives their cars. Okay? Everyone knows a Lamborghini, everyone's excited. No one's excited when they see an Aston Martin. And it's just sad because this car is so beautiful. But that's what makes this car so cool, because no one knows about it, okay? You pull up in this thing, and someone sees it, and they actually notice it and pay attention to just how beautiful it is, you're gonna be like, damn, what is that? And that's why I think this car is a Grand Tour, because it doesn't need to be told it's beautiful. It knows it's beautiful. This is a body-positive car. Now, of course, what do I know? Let's see what other people think. So I went on to Reddit BMW and I said, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I want your opinion on the following statement. The M3 was for a long time a benchmark because it was so well rounded. But now I like a moment of silence. Because the new M3 cannot be the benchmark because of the given backlash because of the new redesign. Now, as you can tell by the like ratio, Not many people agreed with me on this statement. One user said that I forgot the fact that this is the best driving BMW in a couple of generations, and is generally considered the benchmark for sports sedans across the auto industry. Many other sports sedans have come up against the M3 and the 3 Series overall and consistently come up short. Honestly speaking, after seeing a few of these and the new 4 Series in person, it is not as bad as journalists want you to think it is. No, it's not gorgeous, I agree. It is functional and effective in what it is designed to do. Function over form for when it comes to this one. I responded, hands down you are right, my only problem is the looks. That's why I don't think it's a benchmark anymore, because a benchmark should be consistent through all aspects, and everyone should like it, I think. And not everyone likes it, especially me. And to me, it looks worse and worse every single time. One user said that looks are subjective enough that he doesn't care and it shouldn't make a huge difference. I think he was right. Lots of people thought the E90X generation was ugly when it came out, me included. Then they facelifted it and I love it so much I bought one. Even when I hated the look of it, it was still the king because it was such a good drive. The new grill is already starting to grow on people. By the time the next generation comes around, this whole debate will be long forgotten and there will be a new styling feature for people to hate. At the end of the day, as long as they don't ruin the driving feeling, it keeps its title. I thought this was a fair point. That to some people, as long as it's driving, it's fine, and it drives just as good as always, then it should stay the benchmark. But to me, they've just ruined the design. And it's not like a little change like the E90X. This thing just looks disgusting. It's like they put a giant Hoover on the front of it. You know the spring they use on braces? It's like they put 2 of those on their front teeth. I still think it's ugly. Moving on to the 250 Ferrari. I said, good evening ladies and gentlemen. I want your opinions on the following statement. The 57 250 Testarossa has become more art than a car as it has aged. To me it reminds me of the Speed Racer Mach 5 and Mark 6. That's why when I hear the outrageous prices of these cars, $16.4 million, maybe they are worth it. Now one user said that the value of rare 50s and 60s racing cars are probably best understood when compared to rare pieces of art. He wishes more owners would drive them in vintage races. They weren't meant to be museum pieces, but they're so expensive and rare that you're unlikely to see them outside of Pebble Beach and Goodwood. Another user agreed, and that these cars are meant to be driven. But the prices, you can see why people don't want to. I mean, people don't walk about with their Picassos. They lend it out to museums, and that's what he thinks is going to end up happening to these cars. Because to him, people that buy these cars buy them as an investment. I'm always hearing about how old cars are difficult to drive, so I wonder if these cars are actually any fun to drive or if they would be more difficult. One user said that it's a shame that no one drives these cars because they're so expensive because he thinks they would be so much fun. Now other users pointed out that people do drive their cars and that these are some videos of his favorite drives, which I will link in the description. Now I said that maybe people that have these cars actually do drive them, maybe regularly, but we don't see it. So we assume that they don't do it. Maybe. Now for the last car, the Aston, I went on to Reddit Aston Martin and I asked, good evening ladies and gentlemen, I want your opinion on the following statement. The Aston Martin Vanquish Zagato is absolutely beautiful, but feels like it has gone under the radar. What I mean by that is that no one talks about it on YouTube or on social medias. I just wish someone like Royalty Car Exotics or Manny Koshman or some other collector would get one. I think this car needs a PR campaign. I got 3 upvotes. One user said, this car is beautiful. Thank you. What stunning criticism. Another user said that he just didn't understand them. Because they're beautiful, but they seem like a mystery. An expensive supercar that no one knows about. One he saw sell recently as an auction was half of its original price, which is pathetic because it was a limited 1 of 99 released car. On top of that, it's not overly impressive from a performance standpoint when compared to a standard Vanquish. And to him it was just a failed marketing campaign. And I said, and I agreed, it had the potential but it just flopped. I want Aston Martin to revamp like Rolls Royce did, to realize that they're consumers now aren't old rich people. It's young dumb people. But that's just me. That's the end of today's video. If you enjoyed today's content, please like. If you think someone else will enjoy it, please share. If you really enjoyed it, you can subscribe, to join me on this ride. Get it? Subscribe, because it's a car channel, you're taking a ride. That's fun. The rules of the cool wall are very simple. The car could be the smartest. Now as for how this car relates to the wall, I don't. As for how because younger people have the cars. And one user said that I forgot the fact that this is the best BMW, but functional, and because one enrolls, one he's